Life is a dream. It is a dream of the Creator. This moment is God's moment. Every moment, every breath you take is God's dream. So you have to come to this realization in your life. And this is what this video is about, is that the Creator is more than what religion and these cliche cultural interpretations actually can define. God is much more than that. So let's start off with reality. Matter in this reality was created to confine and control us. And you may say, well, Mason, that sounds like a very oppressive thing. If you look at it that point of view, you may see it as that in the purpose of that, God's purpose, it's all divine, is to keep us learning and growing. See, when we're spirits, when we're formless, when we're not in this reality in the third dimension, and we're maybe higher, maybe we're in higher dimensions. Let's say we're not born yet, and your soul's just floating out there in the cosmos, or however the fuck that works. How are you supposed to learn and grow? How are you supposed to feel? How are you supposed to evolve your soul? See, when we come in this reality and we have all this bondage, all this control, if I put my hand on this board, it's not going to go through the board. There's physical laws that prevent me from doing that. My soul's in a body, your soul's in a body. We're here in this third dimension to learn and grow and to feel the intensity of the emotions that come with living on this third dimension. That is what the purpose of the soul trap is to keep us here so that we can grow and evolve. That is God's divine plan. It may seem oppressive from one sense, especially when you're going through it. But once you get to a point where you start transforming your own suffering, you start to realize, okay, I'm meant to feel the intensity of this suffering or the intensity of this emotion. If you were just a formless spirit, you wouldn't be able to do that because you could just shift and change on demand, and there's no point to it. It's almost kind of meaningless. So we come here to find meaning for our soul's evolution, and God made it this way. But today I want to talk about God and our perception of God and also our perception of these concepts of heaven and hell. What heaven really is ascension from the soul trap. As we evolve and grow and fulfill our life purpose, our mission that we come here, because all of us have a mission. Whether you can feel that mission and that purpose right now, or maybe you're still trying to find it, we all come here with a purpose. That's not a belief, that's a fact. Heaven really is ascension from this density. And it can be experienced. You can feel that emotion of elevating your consciousness in this density, but your soul is trapped in this third dimension so that you can grow. We didn't come here to stay stagnant and to do the same thing our whole entire life. We came here to switch it up, spice it up, change things, and invent and create new possibilities. So that is what heaven is when you come to a point in your soul's evolution, and this is like big scale, like you're zooming out of your day-to-day life, you're seeing things from a higher perspective. Heaven is ascending from all of this density. Heaven is feeling oneness with the cosmos. When we come into this density, this third dimension, we come here to experience the soul trap. We come here to experience the illusion of separation. And so this concept of heaven that we have traditionally is that there's this afterlife. You go to this golden city in the sky and you live out eternity. But really what that is ascension from this density and completely becoming one with God. God is more than just our perspective, but he lives through us. He, she, it is a phenomenon. It's more than this man in the sky. That is just a image or almost a personification ego that we've created for God. And no doubt it is real. He has the him persona, if we're talking about his pronouns. But he's also a woman. He's masculine, he's feminine, she's feminine. It's more than even, it goes beyond duality. It goes beyond masculine and feminine. God goes beyond all of that. God is the oneness of all things. And God is the living force that binds everything in reality. Once you die, and if you haven't lived out your purpose, your mission, your soul's evolution, you will come back and you will reincarnate in the soul trap so that you can continue to evolve. That is what reality is. And that's the hell of it. That's the proper way of seeing this hellish conception, is that If you don't fulfill your life purpose and your mission, and you don't get on track with what God has in store for you, you are going to keep coming back here, and you're going to live in this infinite loop, many, many lives. It may take however many lives it takes you to come back here and to take full radical responsibility and put your life on track with your life purpose. The hell of it is you have free will, and you can choose to live a life of hedonism and deny and postpone and procrastinate your purpose and your mission. That's the hell of it, is that you can live all these lives, and you can just keep coming back here, keep giving into pleasures, keep postponing your greatness, and living in temporary satisfaction, instant gratification. If you zoom out of your day-to-day life for a second, and you think about your soul, and you think about, well, if I don't fulfill my life purpose, then I'm just going to keep coming back here and keep encountering the same suffering over and over and over and over and over again. You're living in this loop. That's hellish as fuck. That's the real hell. This place of fire and brimstone and lava, and this kind of idea of this devilish figure that's going to have dominion over us for eternity, and our soul's going to burn and suffer. Look, you can experience that already. You know what I'm saying? Within this density. So this density is sort of a hell, but you can access heaven. You can access parts of heaven by elevating your consciousness and fulfilling your life purpose. And I'm not saying do drugs or try to escape or get high. I'm saying feel the intensity of your emotions. Intentionally choose suffering if you know that it's going to expand your soul, if you know that it's really going to elevate your consciousness, if you know that it's really going to chip away at your life's purpose, and you're really getting somewhere. Surrendering to that suffering, that is the purpose. And there's nuance for each individual, because everybody has a different path to take. But yeah, we are trapped in this flesh, and we'll keep coming back to this flesh over and over and over again. After I die, after you die, you'll come back here, unless you actually just went all the way and you fucking fulfilled your purpose. Now, every life has its own purpose. Every life that you have your own purpose. You have many purposes, like many side quests in a video game, right? You have these side quests. You got to fulfill those, because they lead to leveling up to the main quest and being able to take on the main purpose in your life. There are many journeys that go to one journey, right? There are many paths you can take that goes to one destination. So, who is God? That's the question, right? We have this image in our mind when we pray, when we meditate. We have this image of this fatherly old man in the sky. We call it God. But God is infinite. And to really understand God is to understand not just this personification that we project on him, which he will obviously take on for us. God takes on this image for us to understand and perceive him. But God is infinite. He is universal, like I said earlier. And so if you can really just, when you start praying to God or meditating or going out in your life, really think of God this way, and you'll really start understanding God more. If you just think of him this way, you kind of get stuck in these cycles of shame, guilt, stagnation, and it creates a toxic lens that you see the world through, that you see other people through. You start closing your heart off to people that are in different crowds, maybe different religions, maybe different cultures, because you're so fixated on this one image. And this is kind of like a collective ego that we've created. So Ascension is really just breaking free from the soul trap and returning to God, the oneness of God, the universal form of God, right? Life is God's dream. We are in it, all right? And the creator, God, is the ultimate self. In Hindu religion, I was reading the Bhagavad Gita, and it's a great book. And they talk about Vishnu, Krishna, it's all one being, different names for one being. He speaks about his universal form to Arjuna, right? And it's pretty interesting. It really got me thinking. The creator really is the ultimate self. It's like, hey, we're all playing out our lives so that the creator can experience it through us, so that we can grow and evolve, because our soul is just a piece of God's soul, and it inside of us is infinity. Inside of you is the kingdom of God. Inside of you, in your heart, in your soul, is infinity. You can access portions of this infinite nature of God. If you sit with it, if you meditate, you pray, if you become present and still with it, you can really access and tap this. I'm not saying you are, I'm not talking about this kind of new age, I am God, I am a goddess kind of spiritual ego, or I am a king, I am a lord. You got to understand, like, when the conception, the perception of God in the Christian and even monotheistic adaptation or interpretation of God was created back in the medieval times, back in ancient times, they had kings, they had lords, they had queens, they had deities. So they always had this person that they're looking up to. And so that was deeply stuck in their brain, and that's how they interpreted God too. But God is more than some king in the sky or some queen or some goddess or some god. God is so much more than that. And that's, if you could really tap into that, it'll blow your mind. If you really just think about it, feel into it. God is everywhere at all times. God is everything all at once. He is infinity. So in the Bhagavad Gita, in Hindu culture, in the religion, they call the creator the Atman, which is the ultimate self. This is our higher self. Our higher self is God. God is leading us away. The process of ascension is merely a process of integration with the whole of existence from the point of view of something separate than that which is the ego. That is what ascension is. So the soul trap is basically reincarnation. Once you break free, you stop reincarnating. You ascend to God. You're going to keep living lives until you figure it out. That's the hell of it. But the heaven of it is that you get to figure it out. You have the choice. If we were just mere spirits and we weren't in this form, this body, and this third dimension and reality, there would be no incentive to face the shadow and to grow and to evolve. So life in that spiritual sense, if you're just formless spirits, is kind of meaningless, right? And it's full of illusions. There's a famous quote by Carl Jung. It's one of my favorite quotes. And he says, "One does not attain enlightenment by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." So in other words, what he's saying is, you can imagine all these spirits and all these deities, these gods and goddesses, these figures of light, and you could think that even you are that and you're reaching enlightenment. But real enlightenment is choosing to surrender to the suffering of yourself and choosing to make your darkness conscious, to face the shadow. Once you make the darkness conscious, you attain a level of enlightenment. You get closer and closer. Now, it is a balancing act between light and dark. So the process of ascension requires us to do the opposite first, which is to go into our lower nature and to face our lower nature. So you cannot ascend unless you descend. You know what I'm saying? It's not possible. A lot of people, they think in the New Age culture, spirituality, even in religion, they think that they're ascending to their purpose. They think that they're becoming a greater person, but they're not facing their own lower nature. And the more and more you deny yourself of that gift, which is, you have all these things, all this suffering, you get to experience that. You get to learn from that, and that's a gift in itself. But the more and more you deny these parts of yourself and you bypass, you're lying to yourself about ascension. You're lying to yourself that you're attaining nirvana or enlightenment, because it's not real. But if you face your lower nature, and you integrate it, and you process it, you make it conscious, you ascend. You figured it out. That's one of life's greatest mysteries. So enlightenment in this way of thinking about it is really about getting your hands dirty in life on an emotional, physical, spiritual level. All right, get your hands dirty and do the dirty jobs, because it's all work. Ascension is work in some sense. So you only break free, you only ascend, you only fulfill your life purpose when you are able to admit the things to yourself that you're unable to admit to yourself right now. And I probably just triggered you. You probably got something coming up in your head. And that's what you got to face to ascend. You got to descend. Now, that's one whole video right there.